gentlemen, hi! Back for another episode. This episode of My Goem, we are bringing you to the World Heritage Site and to a church which is amazingly placed, has got a lovely history, and it has music. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to Our Lady of Monte Chapel today, which is under renovations by the Directorate of Archives. We will find out from them how and what they are trying to do, what are the things that are required, and possibly a little bit of history. But if you come here, you will find that there is this beautiful staircase. You can see a gentleman coming down. You can see this beautiful staircase. Earlier, this is called as a pass. People who are walking down a steep slope, they would create small platforms so that people could not slip down. Even walking would be much easier. Ladies and gentlemen, the church that you are going to go to is approachable from Panjim city. It's just about 10 to 11 kilometers, and you have to drive by the causeway that is there, that was built in 1632, the causeway of Linares or the Ribandar Pato, right besides the river Mandovi. Past that, come Ribandar, go straight forward and then come over here. And the sea route was the same taken by the person who took over Goa on 25th of November 1510. And something happened over here during that tenure of his, which led to the construction of this. Though what happened was in 1511, this church was completed in 1549, and there were 2 or 3 renovations and the thing. Why am I telling you all this? Let's go and enjoy the church of Our Lady of Monte. So ladies and gentlemen, when we walked up this place, we walked up those beautiful stairway that leads to the Mount Chapel over here. This chapel was not here till 1549, and there was a reason why they constructed this particular church the way it has been done up, constructed. Now, if you look behind me, you can see the churches of the World Heritage Site Old Goa. You can see St. Cajetan's Church, you can see Sir Cathedral, you can see the Tower of St. Augustine, you can see the Santa Monica Nunnery, the long roof, you can see the Rosary Church over there, and many others. Now I need to bore you with a little bit of a history. Afonso de Albuquerque came down sailing from the Mandovi River through Ribandar up to over here. Old Goa's earlier name was Yellapuri, and it was the capital of the Adilshahi rulers who had taken it from the Kadams. Now, there were quite a lot of masjid, mosques inside, and he had a big wall surrounding it. And as per historians who traveled over here during that era, they say that it was about a mile long along the riverfront and about 3/4 of a mile. And the population was inside around 35 to 40,000 people. When the ships of Afonso de Albuquerque came here for the first time, the Adilshahi forces saw the cannons, big cannons, and the guns firing, and they ran away from here. So it was an easy walk through to Afonso de Albuquerque's forces to take over this land. This happened in March 1510. Adil Shah was very furious. So he sent his forces back, and 2-3 months had elapsed. May end. Monsoons were about to be set, and he chased the Portuguese out. They didn't have much ammunition, they didn't have food grain, so they went back to their ship and they tried to go out. But unfortunately, they got stuck in the Mandovi because the Aguada sandbar stopped their ships from going out. You'll be able to see this in my episode of Taligaon's Konasanje Fest. It all started there. And on 25th of November, they came back again with more ships, more troops, more guns. And they came in, and there was bloodshed over here. This whole place was burned down. All the other religious structures were burned down, broken. People were killed. This is recorded. Let's not go into those gory details over there. And they realized that he is going to come back. Adil Shah is going to send his forces back, and he put his cannons on top of the wall. Part of that wall, I think, is still there, and possibly it is this wall that you are seeing right now. And it did happen that after about 4 or 5 months, Adil Shah sent his troops back to retake Goa. But by that time, the Portuguese had already put cannons on the wall and they were prepared for this attack. The first attack, they were not prepared. Realizing that they cannot enter the Ellapuri, their old capital, the Adil Shahi forces came here on this mount. That time there was nothing here. We are talking about 1511. They kept their cannons here. And for 4 or 5 months, they kept on shooting cannons inside their old city, which was taken over by the Portuguese. But to their bad luck, again the monsoon set in. The ammunition got spoiled. Their food grains became less. People started succumbing to a lot of diseases. And at that time, they decided to leave from here and go back across the river, because we are on an island right now, across the river to Banastari, where they have a fort. That fort was taken by Afonso Albuquerque again in 1512. Now, when the Portuguese realized that the enemy can take advantage of this hillock, they decided to construct a huge church over here, dedicated to Our Lady of the Mount. And they built these walls about 2.7 meters thick, that is almost about 10 feet thick. So even if the ships that came in there or anybody came in and tried to take over, this would act like a castle. Even if they had to hit the cannonballs, the walls would take that particular thing. So this is the story of how this church came to be put up over here. Now what we will do is we'll just walk in and see the altar and everything. When we came here to the chapel of Our Lady of the Mount, we found that there was some work going on over here. And we did come across a gentleman who has been helping us for many of the episodes, and I'm sure you have seen him in the Alorna episode, in the Ponsaimor episode also. His name is Varad Sabnis. He is the Assistant Superintending Archaeologist with the Goa Archives and Archaeology Department, Government of Goa. Varad Bab, welcome to my program, My Goem. I should say welcome again.
Thank you very, very much, and I'm glad that you all have visited this historic chapel.
Varad Baba, since you say that it is a very historic chapel, can you tell us something about it, something about its architecture, something about its, its origin or whatever?
See, basically, the most important feature of this chapel, Our Lady of Monte, is it is located on a strategic location. Basically, it is on a hillock. At one side of the hillock, you can see this view of entire Old Goa. Especially now, when you see from this particular hillock, you can actually count various monuments which are there in Old Goa. Going back into the time when Old Goa was a capital city of Portuguese territory in India, uh, this particular place played a significant role because it also served for a very small portion of time as a border. So if you see this particular location, this was also this location, not specific where the chapel stands, but this area has played a significant role in the battle that took place in 1511. The chapel is in its size and shape, it is huge, almost 32 meters in length, 23 meters in width, and 20 meters in height. So if you consider the size of this particular chapel, it is one of the big monuments in Old Goa. Along with this, if you see the architectural features, when you see the facade of this particular chapel, what attracts your attention are two Corinthian pillars, which are pilasters, which are right on the entrance gate. If you see the triangular windows with triangular heads, uh, are also characteristic features which are seen in Old Goa.
When we talk about features in the different churches in Uruguay, we have heard the word like Baroque style, you have got the Mannerist style, and you have got so many other styles. In what type of category does this fall?
Uh, See, we have one example of Baroque style of architecture, especially the Basilica of Bom Jesus. But in this case, it can be considered as a mixture of various styles of architecture, and typically it is called as Indo-European style of architecture.
Okay. Somewhere I have read that it is classified as a Mannerist style. So could that be right?
Yes, yes, it is right.
It could be right.
Yes,
When was this church built?
it was in 1549,
Okay.
where in the 16th century, and since then, as per the requirements, many features were added. We currently started with the restoration of roof, and we are aiming at finishing that work before monsoon.
You talked about the roof. And in Konkani, there are oparis. You all should listen to the oparis. Quite a lot of them. You know one of them, Andir Malla Chado, Sotta Soglado. There is one opari over there. Dista tashan nasta munu jagfasta. Now, relating it to any of these heritage sites, sometimes when we go in and see, we find something very beautiful. In the case of this church, when you enter the church, there is something amazingly beautiful, and that is the roof. And you say that you are repairing the roof. Now, to my knowledge, and please tell my viewers over there, I heard that the tiled roof is over another roof that is inside. What do you call that roof? And whether you all are going to repair that also?
Yeah, there is a vault, what you see from inside, but when you go on top of the vault, there are actually mangrove tiles. So currently we are restoring the mangrove tiles, and in earlier repairs and restorations which had taken place in the past, we have observed that there is additional pressure or weight on top of the vault, which we are trying to reduce so that the structure will breathe for a longer period and will have a capacity to take load of the superstructure, that is roof. Uh, Another interesting feature, when you enter inside, there is artwork in the form of Kaavi art. So Kaavi art, as you know, that it is very typical to this particular geographical region, Konkan coastal region, and here you have a Kaavi art which is mostly in its intact form. So we'll
Is it Kaavi or is it Graffito?
the actual, it can be called as a graffito also, but the actual material what is used for artwork is cow, and that is why it is called as Kaavi art. The format of implementing this or execution of this art, the style is called as graffito, but the material what is used is cow, and that is why we call it as Kaavi art. uh, it has been preserved for over centuries over here, so we want to have the art and also to involve more artists who can study the revival of this art and preserve this art form also in other parts for posterity.
Please accept one thing. They are a department. Government of India works also through a department. They have got their restrictions. They have got their protocols to follow. But you and me, we don't require protocols. The simplest thing that we can do is, instead of just watching My Goem, please watch. I'm not telling you not to watch, but instead of just watching, please take your families to the various sites that are there in Goa, because a time will come when you will totally lose contact with these sites in Goa. So at this point, let me say thanks to Varad Bab for the amazing information that you have given to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are inside the chapel of the Monte. Uh, Inside the church, please don't wear a cap or a hat because protocols require that you come in without wearing anything except ladies. Behind me, you can see the altar of this church. This church is dedicated to Our Lady of the Monte. Monte means mount because this particular chapel is on top of a hill. This dedicated church, you can see that there is the statue of Our Lady of the Mount standing in the middle holding baby Jesus. Above that, you can see the Blessed Virgin Mary being crowned. And you can see two saints by the side of it. Now, the base of the altar is called as a retable. And on this, on the left-hand side of this retable or altar, you can see Saint Lawrence with the Giridron. That is what was used to fry him to his martyrdom. In fact, you will be able to get more of this information on our episode, which we have done on the Linares Church of Sinkeri, because that is dedicated to Saint Lawrence. And on the other side, we have got Saint Vincent. Outside this altar, outside the main altar, there are two other altars over here, which is showing you Saint Anthony the Hermit here. The other side was Saint Anthony of Lisboa, but today we can see a idol of Mary Immaculate inside over there. Ladies and gentlemen, this place reverberates to the sounds of music during the Monte festival. The pews over here are packed with people who wish to listen to the music. And when I talk of music, the Monte festival doesn't happen on the Mount every day. But every day when the masses were said over here, and yes, this is still with the church authorities, they had a choir that sang over there. And as soon as you enter in the main door, just above that, there is a big balcony. That is called as a choir balcony. The choir which is to sing the hymns would be standing there, the musicians would be there, and they would be singing those hymns during the Mass or when it was required. You could not see them, like today we see them in front, but at that time they would be standing on top and they would be singing. Another aspect of this interiors over here is this roof. Varad has already told you all about what it is. Another aspect that you must see over here, which they have removed possibly for reasons of repair, is the place where the pulpit was. Pulpit is a place where the priest would be standing over there and he would say the Mass, especially when the church was totally packed or there was a very high dignitary or royalty sitting on top, or during the feast time. But look at the beauty of the carvings that was done here. When this church was put up in 1549, and over a period of time has undergone two major renovations and extensions over here. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the interior. The interior of Our Lady of Mount Chapel cannot be complete without talking about the Kaavi art in graffiti form. I will show you something. Let's go there and see. So ladies and gentlemen, On this wall, on this pillar behind, you can see a beautiful design that has been made here with red color material. Now this red color material is called as Kaav. It is a red colored soil having a little, I'm not a chemistry student, but I think it has got a lot of red oxide inside. That's why it is red. And this art is very, very typical to the temples in Goa. You go to any temples, you'll find a lot of such geometric designs. But this art, which is called as Kaavi art, today it is hardly anybody is doing it. There is a need for artists to be trained in this. When the walls were being built, they always put a coat of lime. Now, lime was basically a waterproofing because of our heavy monsoons. It wouldn't allow the water to come inside. But the interiors, well, some of the temples in Goa, like Vijayadurga in Keri, Morzai in Morje, they have got this art outside. But most of the times, you find it inside in the form of geometric designs or even graphics of deities. When these designs were supposed to be made, the wet wall of the lime would be scratched out in these particular designs. It would be allowed to be dried up. It would be just about 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters deep. Once it dried up, it had rough edges, so they would be polished. And in those depressions, they would mix this red mud called as Kaav with lot of other mixtures into this. They would just fill it up, wait for it to dry, and then they would polish the entire thing, and the designs remained. But what happened here was, you all know that during the Portuguese times, many of the temples were broken down. But possibly when they were being broken down, they noticed that there was a beautiful design there. And they wanted that design in the churches. But most of the churches were built. Now what to do? So they came up with a reverse technology of this Kaavi art. Instead of scratching the dry walls, what they did was, they applied a coat of Kaav on this, a uniform coat. And then they used a reverse template. Like, for example, I wanted this design. So the design would be there, this part would be open. So I would put it over here and then scratch out what was not needed. Now, if you look very closely, you will find that the edges have been either very linear or in small, small points where the Kaav has been removed. This art of Kaavi in a reverse form is called as Graffito. Now, how do you understand the difference between Kaavi art that is you see in the temples and the Graffito that you see in most of the churches? And I must tell you, they did pure justice when they did these particular designs. In Kaavi art, when you pull your hand on the wall, you don't feel the design because it is flush with the wall. But in Graffito, if you pull your hand across, you can feel the design. It's in relief. Very minute thickness, but it is in relief. That is how you can know. And now, since I'm standing here next to this Kaavi art, we'll just take a small round view of here, which shows you how they have put this Kaavi art to a wonderful use. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kaavi art for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of another episode of My Goem. And this time we brought you to Our Lady of the Monte Chapel in Old Goa, which is in the World Heritage Site precinct. But the fact remains is, when they built it, they also kept the strategic military strategy in mind so that they could keep an eye on all the surrounding areas that were there. It is not a very far away distance from Panjim. It is just about 11 to 12 kilometers, very close by. Please come and see this. Avoid coming to this place in the morning or late in the morning because the sun is over your head like now. It's really, really taxing to walk up those steps. If you have got any health problem, take all the precautions. Carry a lot of water, wear this hat, and if you feel uneasy, stop. Because my heritage is meant for you to appreciate. But don't take the pains to a level where it will be bad for you and for your colleagues. You are here on a holiday. Enjoy Goa. My Goem tries to bring you so many things of different places in Goa, dedicated to the festivals, the sites, irrespective of whose it is and what it is. Because we need to preserve this culture of ours. So if you have anything like this to tell me, please write on the email that you see over here. We love to hear from you. Whether you call me, whether you send messages on email or WhatsApp me, please convey to me what you liked about this and what you didn't like about this. What I have forgotten to add in this. So next time when we update or we go to some other place, we will take your points into consideration. So ladies and gentlemen, I am not going to melt more further because you are sitting in your rooms and you are enjoying this. I am melting over here. So let me say bye to you. See you in the next episode. Bye bye. Keep watching My Goem.